Hey YouTube, got another lens video for you today. I want to talk about the Samyang 12mm f2 lens. Now this is a fully manual lens, and what that means is you have to control everything manually. It's got no autofocus, it's got no auto aperture, everything is manual. So you control that by, it's got an aperture ring right here. It goes from f2, wide open, all the way to f22. And it's got like these little clicks as far as indexing points. You can feel them as well as you can hear them a little bit. Same thing with the focus. It's got a nice focus, nice and smooth. There's some tension or resistance, and it's got some distance indicators. One thing, if you're shooting on infinity, mine as well as others that I've seen reviews on, infinity isn't quite all the way to infinity. Infinity is just a little bit over. And you can tell that by looking at your focus peaking. If you're using a manual lens, you're doing manual focus, you're going to want to turn focus peaking on. This one is made for the Fujifilm X series, the mount is. You don't need to use any adapters or anything like that. Now, they also make this exact same lens. It's an APS-C crop sensor lens for the Sony E-mount and Olympus and maybe some other manufacturers. You can use it on the full frame Sony, but it's going to vignette, so I don't, it's not big enough for the sensor size, so I don't recommend that. It's made of like an aluminum plastic body towards the top. Very decent plastic. It's got a little bit of weight. It doesn't feel cheap, but at the same time, it doesn't weigh a lot. Great for if you want to throw it in a bag and traveling. Lens cap. And they also make the same lens under another name called Rokinon. So if you see Rokinon, Samyang, same company, same identical lens. They're just being branded under one of the two names. Comes with a flower type of lens hood, and it's got this textured type of paint. The element itself protrudes from the base, but it does not protrude from the front of the lens itself. So if you want to use a ND filter, polarizer filter, you can screw them onto the front, no problem. It's a 67mm thread, so that you know, anything that or above with an adapter or a step-down ring would work. The lens is my second copy of the same lens. The first one that I purchased off eBay, tried to save $15, $20, and it was decentered. When you got focus peaking on, which you'll have to have focus peaking on, you'll see if your lens is defocused. You go to focus on something, you can see the right and the left come into focus at a different rate. I got my money back, sent it back to the seller. It was a 30-day money back guarantee. Bought it again on B&H, and it was perfect. This lens goes for about $200 to $300 depending on if you get it on sale, and I encourage you to wait because this lens goes on sale often. A lot of people compare it to, I guess I will too, the Fujifilm lens. This is the wide angle, this is the 10 to 24. It's tough to compare these two because the only thing they really have in common is their wide angle lenses. This is much heavier, it's much larger obviously, and this has autofocus, it's got optical image stabilization, it's a zoom, so it's got a wide range of focal lengths. This, again, manual, it's prime. But one of the things, there's a couple things that this lens has that the Fujifilm doesn't. One is, you know, the price, right? I purchased this because I didn't want to spend $800 or $1,000 on the Fuji wide angle. And the size, the weight, but most importantly, the f2. When you're shooting inside, sometimes you need a wide angle inside, and f2 gives you a lot of light, and optical stabilization doesn't give you anything when you have to bump your shutter speed up to over 125, preferably over 200, so they don't get motion blur when you're shooting with people or things in motion. So that's something to remember. Everybody wants to gravitate towards optical stabilization, and yeah, it's good for video and handheld. I'd rather have the option to have it and turn it off if I don't want it. But at the same time, if I'm shooting at an f4, I'm letting in a lot less light, meaning that I'm going to have to bump up my ISO, and overall image quality is going to take a hit. The other advantage that this lens has over the 10 to 24 is it's got nice close-up focus. If you're walking at the street and you see a bicycle sitting there and you want to take a photo of a certain particular object on the bicycle, you can get up nice and close and it'll focus and it'll blow out the background because in f2. You can't achieve the same things with the 10 to 24. For me, they have different purposes. I grab this one if I'm going to be walking around landscapes on the street, kind of methodical type of things, and I don't want to adjust my tripod because I have a 10 to 24. I have some range to play with, right? This one is a great travel lens. I'll throw this in my bag if I think I'm going to be inside somewhere or I want to go light. I like it. I'm glad I purchased this, and I did not sell this after I bought the 10 to 24. Optical quality, I think they're about the same. Traditionally, prime lens would blow away a zoom. Fuji zooms are great, and I'd say the quality is on par. I didn't pixel peep crazy, but both of them have great, wonderful, sharp images. So I wouldn't use that as a factor. So guys, if you have any questions, let me, before I close out this video and show you guys some JPEGs like I normally do, let me show you what it looks like on the camera itself. It's got a little index there so you know where to stick it on. And I have somewhere, right? So you can see what it looks like on the Fujifilm X-T2. And if you have an X-T3, it's the same size, so you would you get an idea of what this lens looks like. It's nice, it's lightweight, it easily pack in a travel bag. Sharp, beautiful, colors are, they pop, they're nice. One of the reservations that a lot of people have with a manual lens is having a lack of autofocus. I'm in that camp. I don't like a lot of manual lenses, but quite honestly, at a 12 millimeter, you're not having to focus very often. You're setting the aperture outside at like 5.6, and anything past, 6, 8 feet is going to be in focus. So you're not having to keep on messing with it. So if that's a concern for you, I wouldn't worry about it. It hasn't been an issue for me. If you guys are thinking about a wide angle lens, definitely a place to start with, in my opinion. I'm going to show you guys some JPEGs like I normally do. If you guys have any additional questions, please leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching, guys.